This is the one productivity hack that is used by successful people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and it's changed my day from this to this. Once you start doing it, your focus and productivity will shoot up by at least tenfold. It's also named Harvard's most useful productivity hack, and this simple technique is called time boxing. Ever since I left the corporate life to become a freelancer, I've noticed that I've had a lot of things on my plate, even more than when I was at a full-time job. Or at least that's just how it felt. Since I wanted to make full use of my sabbatical, my want-to-do list just kept growing longer and longer. From daily essential tasks, working on content creation, spending time with the family, and of course, attempting to complete Hogwarts Legacy, with my progress currently at a whopping 32% at 30 hours of gameplay. I clearly thought that I would have more time, so I committed to way too many things. So much that I haven't even had a chance to touch my squash racket yet. Turns out with all of that, I had just been working harder, not smarter. I was just a disorganized mess. And for someone who was supposedly on a sabbatical, I was flustered a lot of the time, just trying to get things done, and it just felt like I wasn't making the best out of my time. So what changed? A 9-to-5 corporate job provided a routine of sorts. I've always had to wake up by a certain time, hop on that train so I could reach the office to make that meeting on time. It was easy because I knew what I was going to do. But because I now don't have to structure my day, here I was, sleeping and waking up every day at different times, doing things I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. Yes, it's actually a double-edged sword to have too much time on your hands. You can imagine how long my to-do list became. Probably as long as this, but unfortunately I can't flush it down the toilet. But hey, at least Chewy's happy. But that's why to-do lists just aren't enough. To-do lists can be ineffective for several reasons. First, having the paradox of choice. Who would have thought having too many options would cause such problems? Choices can actually increase anxiety because it's harder to decide what to do next on your list. That's why Steve Jobs only has one outfit. The choice was already made, and he didn't have to waste time or mental energy thinking about it. Second, having tasks of varying lengths and priorities can lead to only completing the easier ones and neglecting the more important and difficult ones. By the time you take off that easier task, you're drained and you leave the hard task for tomorrow. Sounds familiar? Third, to-do lists mostly lack context, making it difficult to determine what to work on and how much time to allocate to each task. As the saying goes, what gets scheduled gets done. Back in the corporate world, I lived off my calendar. I'd block out time for meetings, deep work, and even the gym. And this worked perfectly for me. I'd plan my day ahead, so I eliminated the option of choice out of the equation. And damn, was I efficient. So I figured, why not do the same now? Turns out there's a name for this thing. It's called time boxing. It takes up the #1 spot on Harvard's most useful productivity tips, and for good reason. So what exactly is time boxing? It's actually a simple and logical method of combining the to-do list and a calendar to get things done. So 1, the brain dump. 2, prioritizing the top 3 tasks of the day. 3, scheduling it into your day. And 4, just go do it. Pretty simple thing as you can see there. So I'll show you a typical template of what you can follow. So for example, it's going to be like a daily thing, planner. Honestly, there are a lot of templates out there as well, right? So usually I'll just put the date, right, 17th April, Monday, and yes, my handwriting is very big, it's very messy. Firstly, I'll do the brain dump. Okay, what do I have on my mind today? Like, okay, I have to go to the gym, I have to film B-roll today, I have to do some scripting for video on productive day. The next bit, we have prioritization. So, for example, out of all these things, what are the 3 most important tasks that we have to do, right? So, #1 for me would be to script, #2 would be to film B-roll, and #3 it would be to gym. Lastly, this bit should be kind of like your calendar or time management. So it'll be like, okay, 9, you put timing here, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 to 9 maybe it'll be like, oh, wake up. Maybe 10 o'clock I'll start scripting. 9 o'clock will be like, oh, walking, chewy, coffee. And maybe, okay, scripting, I'll give myself like maybe 2 hours. And then maybe I'll have lunch here, but I don't really have lunch because I only eat 1 meal a day, so maybe that'll be like coffee too. And then we'll do like a film B-roll, and that will be from 2 to maybe 4, and then gym at 5. So that's kind of how it works, just again, really scheduling everything in. But for example, what if I take too long to script? What if I start scripting from 10 and I'm in the flow and I only finish by like 2:30? Then, you know, I have to move all this down, right? So as you can see, it gets really messy if I need to shift things up and down. So I do this all on the laptop. Here's how I do it. I use 3 separate apps to do each thing specifically because I just find it more clear-cut. For my brain dump, day 1 is usually the first app I open in the morning to write down my thoughts and what's on my mind. So when I'm done journaling, it's usually followed by a high-level overview of what I need to do throughout the day. I use To-Do to do my... I open To-Do to do... I use To-Do to... So I use the app To-Do for my to-do list. That's for prioritization. The great thing about To-Do is that it automatically brings over stuff you haven't yet completed from the day before to the next day. You can easily drag this task over to other days to reschedule it. Sometimes I put it under like someday soon. Then I'll reference my brain dump and then I'll schedule it into the days to do. From there, I'll reschedule the top 3 tasks in order of importance. If I'm really too busy that day, I'll work on my highlight of the day and get that one task done, and I'll still consider my day a win. Lastly, I'll open Google Calendar on the side and add the task I need to complete at a designated time. It's here where I also decide roughly how much time I need to complete a task. I also use colors on Google Calendar to signify different things. Orange being my favorite color is for default activities, red is for coffee or meals, light blue for socials, green is for gym or exercise, and purple is usually related to anything social media. If I need to make any changes, it's as simple as dragging the time allocated to a shorter or longer period. There are apps out there that can help you do this automatically, like Time Block or Sorted, but I find that I didn't really like it because I just preferred to have more control over being able to move my time blocks. And I'm just super used to using Google Calendar. And it's free. I've always been an extremely efficient person, and I wholly attribute it to time boxing. I've actually always been doing it just unknowingly. And this is just how I like to do it personally. It's important for you to find something that works for you, so definitely try out different methods, different mediums, like you can write it on a book, and just experiment and see what's comfortable for you. The one thing I've learned from practicing time boxing is that now I actually have a better estimate on how much time I need to spend on a task. So instead of 1 hour, I usually dedicate 2 hours for filming. I now know better what I can actually accomplish in a day depending on what task I'm setting out to do. It allows me to set up my time in a week to be able to fully maximize my time and energy and stops my brain from feeling too overwhelmed. Plus, I even have more time now because I can schedule my time with intention. So if you find yourself being overwhelmed with too many tasks or you just want to be super efficient, time boxing is the first thing I would recommend you to try. I love that I'm able to use such productivity hacks I've learned from my time working in the corporate world. I've picked up so many useful skills and life lessons in the past 10 years of working to become an efficient person. So why in the world did I decide to leave? If you'd like to know why, check it out in this video and I'll see you there.